Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Monday, November 27th. If you are joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We will not be having a recap since it's been since Friday since we made a video. Friday was a little bit unfortunate there. We had Chris Middleton, who was the ultimate chalk and did get injured, but he healed, kind of let us down just a little bit as well. So could have been a little bit better day. We're not going to go too deep into that, but we'll go over to the injuries in play for today's main slate. It's only a 5-game main slate today. There is more in-season tournament action happening tomorrow. So if you're not familiar, the one stipulation with the in-season tournament games is that teams do not play on a back-to-back, so they don't play the day before. They can play the day after, but they don't play the day before. Then we'll get over to DraftKings and FanDuel and talk about my core picks for both sites. It's going to be one player at each position, so point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get into the injuries in play for tonight's slate. So once again, it is only a 5-game main slate in total. We got a couple games going off right at 7 o'clock today. So we have the Washington Wizards, who are without Ryan Rollins and DeLon Wright once again. Jordan Poole's listed as questionable. Unfortunately, I think it was Saturday, he rolled his ankle in pregame warmups, and he was already locked into a lot of people's lineups, including my own, one of the lineups that I did ultimately end up playing that day. So that was really unfortunate. We'll see whether or not he's able to go tonight or not. If he's unable to go, Corey Kispert enters that starting lineup. Landry Shamet looks a little bit better. We saw a little bit of Jared Butler even in that most recent game as well. Then for the Detroit Pistons, we got Bogdanovich, Harris, and Morris all out once again. So pretty much what we've seen out of them as of late. Jalen Duren did return in their most recent game. He did come off the bench, however, though, played about 29 minutes in that game. So looks like a reasonable play on tonight's slate. Once again, not going to be in the core, but somebody that is worth mentioning at this point in time. Be interesting to see whether or not he starts or not tonight. Then we move over to the Portland Trailblazers. They are on a back-to-back, so we'll get some more injury news about them later on in the day. Safe to assume that Simons and Wainwright are both out once again. We'll see if Brogdon plays on the back-to-back. We'll see if Scoot Henderson plays on the back-to-back, or if there's any other news throughout the day. Then on the Pacers side, we got Aaron Nesmith listed as questionable. He's been dealing with a wrist injury, but he was able to practice yesterday, so probably safe to assume that he's back tonight, but we'll get more news on that as the day moves along. Then we move over to the Lakers, who are without Hachimura, Vanderbilt, and Vincent once again. We got Cam Reddish listed as questionable. He's missed the 2 most recent games due to a groin injury. We'll see whether or not he's back tonight or not. If he's not back, probably Max Christie in that starting lineup once again, looking like a decent value play there. LeBron James, questionable. Do assume that he ultimately ends up playing tonight, as well as Anthony Davis, who's listed as probable. On the opposite side, for the Philadelphia 76ers, Kelly Oubre remains out. Jaden Springer is listed as questionable. He's dealing with an illness, but his minutes have been ticking down as of late anyways. And then we have Daniel House also listed as questionable due to a quad injury. He missed their most recent game on Saturday. Then we get down to the New Orleans Pelicans, who are without CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, and Matt Ryan once again. And it is worth noting that McCollum is trending towards playing in the near future. He was questionable the other day. He was able to practice, so kind of thought he was going to come back on their most recent game. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and he's already been ruled out for tonight's game, so it should be pretty soon that we see him back, but just not tonight. Then on the Utah Jazz side, we see Jordan Clarkson listed as questionable. He missed their most recent game due to illness. It was this very same matchup. And then Lauri Markkanen also listed as questionable. He is dealing with a hamstring injury and was unable to practice yesterday. So he's trending more towards being out once again tonight. And then we have the Denver Nuggets. They're on the back-to-back, so we're not going to know a lot of their injury news, at least early on. Aaron Gordon did miss yesterday for them, so we'll see whether or not he's back tonight or not. And then on the Clippers side, they're just without Brandon Boston and Mason Plumlee once again. But with that being said, kind of a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate. Nothing too major here. Obviously, we're going to be looking at Jordan Clarkson. We're going to be looking at Lauri Markkanen, some of that back-to-back news from the Nuggets and the Blazers as well. Aaron Nesmith probably going to be in today. We'll see if Cam Reddish is out or not once again tonight, as well as Jordan Poole. But that's kind of the main ones that we're looking at. There is some value, at least early on tonight's slate, but there is more that could open up throughout the day. So definitely be sure to check up down in the comments throughout the day, as I will be posting all the injury news and updates down there, as well as the starting lineups as they do come out throughout the night. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks for tonight's slate. So on the DraftKings side, we're going to start off with point guard Dyson Daniels. He's played really well as of late. He's only $5,700. We're looking for 28, 29 points out. I'm currently projected for 29 tonight. Gives us a little bit of upside for 30 as well. Going against Utah should be a pretty favorable matchup. And I do like the upside that he does present on tonight's slate overall. Looks like one of the safer values at the point guard position overall today, although there are a lot of guys in his price range that look pretty good as well. Then in shooting guard, we're going to go Jaden Ivey. $5,400. Looking for 27 out of him. He's been playing really well, playing big minutes since he's been in that starting lineup. Currently, I'm projected for 29 points tonight. Definitely could get us 30 or more. It's a favorable matchup against the Washington Wizards. Should be a pretty high-paced back and forth game between these two teams who only have 2 wins on the season. So not a lot of slates that we're getting to too many Washington and Detroit players, but when they play each other, they're going to look a little bit better overall, so definitely do like him tonight. Then in small forward, we're going to go with Terrence Mann at $4,100, looking for 20, 21 points out. Currently, I'm projected for 21 tonight. He's been in that starting lineup overall, been playing a decent amount of minutes. If he's just a little bit better than he normally is, does have some upside for more as well. And then we move down to power forward with LeBron James. So he's $9,700, and we're looking for 48, 49 points out of him tonight, averaging just under 50 on the season so far. Currently, I'm projected for 49 points. Definitely does offer a little bit of upside for more, especially if this game's really competitive. LeBron's going to have to do a little bit extra to help his team win this game if that's going to be the case. Then last but not least, at the center position, we're going to go with Ivica Zubac, who is $5,300, looking for 26, 27 points down, averaging 25 so far on this season. So kind of the thing with Zubac too is it ultimately depends on what center he goes up against. Tonight it's against Nikola Jokic, who is a very good center in his own right. But if Zubac doesn't get in foul trouble, he's going to play out there playing bigger minutes. So if you're getting 28 minutes out of Zubac, close to a fantasy point per minute, he's going to look pretty good overall. Do have him currently projected for 28 fantasy points tonight. Like the upside that he could have, especially if he goes out there and plays big minutes. Obviously, they have Daniel Tice behind him tonight. There is some risk of foul trouble. But if you're looking for a cheaper center play today with some upside, Zubac would be the guy for me overall. Jokic is a great player, especially on the offensive end, not as good on defense. So could be a good spot for Zubac overall. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $19,800 remaining, $6,600 per player. So looking more like a balanced build, at least at this point in time. There's going to be other values that do open up throughout the day though. So if you want to pay down for a couple other value spots, pay up for 1-star player, you can definitely do that as well. If you want to switch out LeBron James for Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid, somebody like that, you can do that. If you want to pay up from Zubac, you could do that as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So we're going to start off at the point guard position on FanDuel with James Harden at $7,600. Last 2 games haven't been the greatest for him. It's a little bit of a slower paced matchup tonight versus the Denver Nuggets. So that does factor in a little bit, but $7,600, still too cheap of a price tag at this point in time. He's averaging 33.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Currently, I'm projected for 38 tonight. If you do not like him, you don't want to play him for whatever reason, you look at Cade Cunningham, who is a couple $100 more and is projecting for around 40 fantasy points for myself tonight. But with that being said, we're going to go over to Cade Cunningham's teammate and Jaden Ivey at shooting guard, $5,200. Looking for 26 fantasy points out. I'm averaging about 21 so far on the season. Favorable matchup tonight against the Washington Wizards. Should be a pretty back and forth game, a little bit higher paced game for Detroit than they're used to, going against the Wizards, who play pretty fast in their own right. These two teams are not the greatest. Both of them only have 2 wins on the season in total. But Jaden Ivey has been in that starting lineup. He's been playing big minutes as of late. So currently I'm projected for 28, 29 fantasy points on the FanDuel side overall tonight. Going to look like a great play over there. Then we're going to move down to small forward, Buddy Hield. You could also play him at shooting guard if you want to, $5,300. Looking for 26, 27 points out. He's averaging just over 23 so far on the season. Most of those games this year have come off the bench. The most 3 recent games have been in that starting lineup and been shooting the ball pretty well. Last time was a little bit unfortunate. Only played 28 minutes. It was mainly scoring dependent in that game with 18 points and not much else. But if we get some points, we get a couple assists, a couple of rebounds, a steal in there, going to look a little bit better. If he ultimately ends up closing, I don't think he closed that last game because he only got to 28 minutes. Going to look good for Buddy Hield overall. Currently, I'm projected for 29 fantasy points tonight on the FanDuel side. Then we move down to power forward with Taurean Prince. He is a guy that's going to look a lot better if Cam Reddish is out once again tonight. There is no Rui Hachimura, so his minutes are a little bit safer. He also has a little bit extra rebound potential with no Hachimura out there as well. And at $4,400, we're looking for 22 points down. Currently, I'm projected for 21, 22 today. Is a guy that's they're probably going to need out there more often than not going against the Philadelphia 76ers, especially for his defense. If his shot's going down, he's going to look a little bit better as well. But definitely a guy that I like as a pay down option on tonight's slate overall. Then last but not least, we're going down to the center position, Walker Kessler, $5,700. Looking for about 28, 29 fantasy points out. He's averaging 24 so far in the season. He came back their most recent game from an elbow injury injury, played 21 minutes off the bench, had a double-double in that game. If he gets back in that starting lineup, if he can play, 24, 26 minutes in this game, going to look even better. Currently having projected right around 28, 29 fantasy points tonight. Definitely has a ton of upside for more, especially if he gets back going with those blocks, which is kind of the big thing that he is known for. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players on the FanDuel side, you have $31,800 remaining, just under $8,000 per player, so definitely a lot of room and flexibility to pay up for some studs on today's slate overall. Obviously, if you want to pay up at the center position to a Nikola Jokic, a Joel Embiid, or an Anthony Davis, you can definitely do that over Walker Kessler as well. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, Monday, November 27th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I do ask that you note whether those questions are FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then as always, I will be listing all the injury updates down in the comments below, as well as the starting lineups throughout the night. And then about 15 to 20 minutes prior to lock, I will leave an updated core as a pinned comment down there as well. If there's no changes, I'll just leave no changes at this point in time. If there's any changes after that update, I'll leave them as a reply to that pinned comment as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that is truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. At this point in time, we have NBA DFS Monday through Friday. We got the NFL DFS player pool video on Saturday. Hopefully you guys checked that out. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well if you're into NFL DFS. And then if you're into NFL DFS, be sure to check out my cheat sheets on the sports affiliation website for both FanDuel and DraftKings. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you are a brand new user to any one of those 3 sites, first time you make a deposit, you will get a first batch deposit match. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% of your initial deposit. I believe it's like up to $2,500. So definitely some good promos going on out there. If you're interested in sports betting, great time and opportunity to take advantage of that. And then if you have any questions related to sports betting or prop betting in general, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning into this video. It definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.